20 things in Grandma's house that could actually be worth a ton of money. Do you dare to believe that your grandma's dusty attic or old cabinet could hide a huge fortune? Every memento, from exquisite porcelain china sets to a faded brooch, not only tells stories of a loving past, but also is a treasure worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars waiting for you to discover. These meticulously handcrafted antique items, bearing the marks of time and history, are becoming more valuable than ever. Join us in unraveling the secrets and turning nostalgic memories into unexpected fortunes. Old jewelry box. A handcrafted Victorian cameo brooch with intricate carvings on a seashell or gemstone can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on the detail and material. These could be the old jewelry box on your grandma's dresser. It looks quite small, perhaps made of wood or silver-plated metal, sometimes even emitting a faint scent of face powder and memories. When opened, a sparkling world emerges. Beaded necklaces, vintage-style earrings, and exquisite brooches that might seem outdated. But vintage jewelry, especially finely crafted pieces with sparkling gemstones or precious metals like gold and silver, always holds a strong appeal for collectors and lovers of timeless beauty. Jewelry from the mid-19th century Victorian era often features romantic, elaborate designs inspired by nature or symbols of love. The Art Deco period of the 1920s to 1930s, on the other hand, is characterized by sharp geometric lines, symmetry, and the use of vibrant colored gemstones. Following that is the mid-century modern style of the 1950s to 1960s, with bold designs, often using unique materials and strong forms, reflecting post-war optimism and development. If you pay attention, you will see hallmarks or designer signatures. Look for names of artisans like Gian Schlumberger, famous for his unique designs for Tiffany and Company, or David Webb with his animal jewelry made of gold and gemstones. An Aldo Cipulo love bracelet for Cartier, despite its seemingly simple appearance, carries deep meaning and masterful craftsmanship, and can be worth tens of thousands of dollars in the collectibles market. China sets. Does anyone remember the feeling of touching those exquisite porcelain plates with elaborate patterns that Grandma always cautioned? Don't break them. Her voice both affectionate and stern? These formal china sets were only brought out for special occasions like Thanksgiving, Christmas, or large family gatherings. When you look at a porcelain china set from your grandma's house, you are looking at a piece of history, a symbol of craftsmanship and artistry that once represented the pinnacle of sophistication. They represent an era when quality and beauty were paramount, before mass production became common. Brands like Lenox, Royal Doulton, Wedgwood, or Haviland are renowned names among antique china collectors. A complete Lenox autumn set, produced in the early 20th century with exquisite handcrafted gold details, can easily fetch several $1,000s in the antique market. Rare patterns or limited collections from Royal Doulton, often featuring classic English portraits or landscapes, are eagerly sought after by collectors and can yield incredible value. The fewer chips, scratches, and the more original the glaze, the higher the value. A small chip can significantly reduce an item's value, while a perfect set can increase in price many times over. Additionally, provenance is also an important factor. China sets with clear origins, such as those used by prestigious families or having a special story behind them, can also significantly increase in value due to the historical and cultural significance they carry. Depression glass. If you were born in previous decades, you surely saw the gently colored glass sets, often pink, green, or amber, that Grandma used for everyday meals. These glass plates, cups, and bowls were mass-produced during the Great Depression, and often given away as premiums with other purchases. They possess a rustic, simple yet charming beauty, reflecting the spirit of frugality and the ability to find joy in small things during that era. Glass sets or individual pieces with rare and unique patterns can achieve impressive value. They have become sought-after items for vintage glass enthusiasts. Value comes from the combination of history, beauty, and the rarity of specific patterns. Colors like pink, green, and amber are particularly favored by collectors. Popular and sought-after patterns include American Sweetheart with hearts and scallop designs, Royal Lace with intricate lace patterns, Mayfair, also known as Open Rose, with blooming roses, and Cameo with raised female figures. When inspecting, pay attention to the condition of the glass. Are there any significant cracks, chips, or scratches? A piece of glass in good condition with prominent and clear patterns, not faded or damaged, will have much higher value. Interestingly, small air bubbles or rough seams are normal characteristics of this type of glass due to the manufacturing methods of the time, and they usually do not decrease the item's value. Instead, they can enhance its unique charm. Tiffany lamps. The lamp with its vibrant stained glass shade, soft floral patterns, standing elegantly on the table in Grandma's living room, or the sparkling crystal chandelier hanging high, reflecting light into thousands of rainbows across the room. These lighting fixtures created a cozy and luxurious atmosphere in her home. Among them, Tiffany lamps are legendary. An original Tiffany Studios lamp, especially rare or large models, can fetch six figures, meaning hundreds of thousands of dollars, at major auctions. This incredibly high value comes from exquisite craftsmanship, precious materials used hundreds, even thousands of meticulously soldered stained glass pieces, and their iconic status in Art Nouveau history. Besides Tiffany lamps, other types of vintage lights also hold astonishing value. Vintage chandeliers, especially Baccarat or Murano crystal chandeliers, known for their sparkle and luxurious designs, can sell for thousands of dollars. Similarly, table lamps with handcrafted bronze or ceramic bases, often featuring unique details and artistic forms, or floor lamps with unique designs from the 1920s to 1960s, are also sought after by collectors. When searching, check for manufacturer's marks, the material of the shade if it's a Tiffany lamp, meticulously inspect each piece of glass, the condition of the lamp base, and the electrical system. Classic furniture. Back then, Grandma's house would have old velvet armchairs placed next to an oak china cabinet. She often sat there reading books or watching TV. They truly looked like works of art, the soul of artisans who poured their hearts into creating them. Every line, every detail exuding meticulousness and passion for their craft. They witnessed countless family gatherings, stories told, and memories created in her beloved home. In recent years, mid-century modern-style items from the 1950s and 1960s have become extremely popular and eagerly sought after in the antique market. Their value can skyrocket to thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars for unique pieces or those by famous designers. A typical example is an Eames lounge chair produced in the mid-20th century with ergonomic design and premium materials, which can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Isamu Noguchi's coffee tables or Finjewel's bookshelves, despite being decades old, are still warmly pursued by collectors and design enthusiasts for their timeless beauty and high functionality. Even unbranded items that retain their original finish can have significant value. Look for labels or markings discreetly carved into the item, created by a famous artisan or workshop like Thomas Chippendale, with his exquisite Rococo and neoclassical designs, Duncan Phyfe with his Federal and Empire styles, or Gustav Stickley with his sturdy oak arts and crafts pieces. Additionally, carefully check the joints. Dovetail joints, where pieces of wood are skillfully cut to interlock without screws or glue, are a clear sign of durable craftsmanship, sophistication, and superior strength. Thank you for watching. To continue viewing more content, please comment yes to let us know you're still following. Vintage instruments. These ornamental musical instruments are a source of inspiration, having played countless melodies, witnessed countless family performances, and preserved many musical memories, from soothing lullabies to cheerful holiday tunes. This is where the piano resonated with melodious music. Pianos, especially from renowned and prestigious brands like Steinway and Sons, Baldwin, or Yamaha from the early to mid-20th century, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars or even more for rare or exquisitely handcrafted models. These instruments are not just musical tools, but also works of art, symbols of luxury and superior sound quality. Similarly, violins are also very valuable items in the collectibles world. A vintage violin from world-famous makers like Stradivarius, Guarneri, or Amati, though extremely rare and hard to find, can be worth millions of dollars, becoming a symbol of perfection in instrument craftsmanship. Even mass-produced violins from the 19th or early 20th century, if well-preserved and possessing good sound, can still fetch several $1,000s. That's why it's important to pay attention to the overall condition of the wood, making sure there are no cracks or warping, to preserve key components like the strings and the bridge. You can also try playing it to check the sound quality, or look for a maker's mark if you want an advantage when it comes to valuation. Rare books and old cookbooks. Grandma's small library where old books were stacked on shelves, emitting the characteristic smell of yellowed paper and ink. Perhaps these were classic novels with worn covers, read and reread by her over the years, or faded cookbooks containing secret family recipes. Don't be quick to dismiss them, because amidst them might be hidden intellectual and material treasures you never expected. Each page is a window to the past, a repository of stories and knowledge from a bygone era. Rare books, especially first editions of classic works, can fetch enormous sums in the collectibles market. Books are historical artifacts, bearing the imprint of the era in which they were published. A first edition signed by F. Scott Fitzgerald for The Great Gatsby, or an early copy of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, can be worth tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars at prestigious rare book auctions. This value comes from their rarity, literary significance, and historical value. An intact, undamaged original cover and handwritten notes by the author or a famous person found inside can significantly increase the book's value. Even old cookbooks are surprisingly valuable collector's items. Community cookbooks from churches, women's clubs, or local organizations often contain unique recipes, touching personal stories, and reflect the culinary customs of a bygone era, making them incredibly valuable to history and culinary collectors. Timepieces. In the world of antiques, watches and timekeeping devices can yield astonishing value. Especially vintage wristwatches from legendary brands, names that have become symbols of luxury and prestige, can achieve extremely high values. Rolex, with a history tied to pioneers and durable timepieces, Patek Philippe with its sophistication and complex watchmaking, Audemars Piguet with bold designs, or Vacheron Constantin with a long tradition and masterful craftsmanship, are all brands whose watches can be worth thousands to hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. The specific value also depends on the rarity of the model, its preserved condition, and the watch's historical provenance. An early 1950s Rolex Submariner, if well preserved and with complete documentation proving its origin, can be a very valuable investment and highly coveted by collectors. Besides wristwatches, grandfather clocks are also valuable treasures, especially those exquisitely hand-carved from Europe, with complex movements and made from precious wood, can be worth thousands of dollars due to their intricacy and classic beauty. Pocket watches, once symbols of luxury and status in the 19th and early 20th centuries, are also highly sought after by collectors. Models from Elgin, Waltham, or Hamilton, particularly those with solid gold or silver cases and meticulous engravings, can achieve high value. Vintage electronics. In today's digital age, these vintage electronic devices might seem outdated, unfamiliar to the current generation. But for collectors, they are true technological treasures, pieces of engineering and cultural history. Items like antique radios, early film cameras, or rotary phones are not just nostalgic decorations. They are valuable pieces of technological history, telling the story of how we once connected, preserved moments, and entertained ourselves before the internet and smartphones dominated. Their value often comes from rarity, preserved condition, and especially working functionality. A tube radio from the 1930s or 1940s with a polished wooden case and large knobs, if still in good working order, can sell for a few $100s, as it offers a warm sound and classic aesthetic that few modern devices possess. Vintage cameras can especially achieve significant value. A Leica camera from the 1950s or a vintage Hasselblad, known for its optical quality and precise craftsmanship, can be worth thousands of dollars, especially if accompanied by original lenses and in good condition. Even brass cameras and lenses from the late 19th or early 20th century, with their unique appearance and historical value, can fetch $3,000 or more. Rotary phones. symbols of a slower but more authentic era of communication, also hold surprising collectible value. Vinyl records. Have you ever sat in a quiet room and then suddenly heard the needle drop into a record's groove, crackle on crackle, before warm melodies filled the space? That feeling almost takes us back in time to a nostalgic musical era, completely different from today's soulless digital tracks. Thanks to the vinyl revival, old records from Grandma's collection are making a stylish comeback and holding astonishing value. Albums from iconic artists like the Beatles, David Bowie, Aretha Franklin, Elvis Presley, or Led Zeppelin, especially first pressings or rare versions, can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. A prime example, a first pressing of the Beatles' Yesterday and Today album with The Butcher, cover a band cover due to sensitive imagery and later recalled can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, becoming one of the most valuable records of all time. Besides rock and pop bands, rare jazz albums from the 1950s and 1960s by great artists like John Coltrane or Miles Davis are also eagerly sought after by passionate collectors. Pay special attention to the condition of the record. Are there deep scratches, severe warping, or significant crackling when played? The condition of the album cover and inner sleeve is also very important, as they are an integral part of its collectible value. Do you still own any vinyl records that Grandma passed down? Don't hesitate to share your beautiful memories. Classic kitchenware pieces. Grandma's warm kitchen, always filled with the aroma of freshly baked goods and rich stews. Inside were shiny, heavy black cast iron pans, passed down through generations of cooking, or vibrant, colorful Pyrex mixing bowls, or worn old wooden cutting boards with the cuts of time. Today, these vintage kitchen tools are eagerly sought after by collectors and retro enthusiasts, not just for their utility but also for the beauty and history they bring. Cast iron cookware like skillets and pots from legendary brands like Griswold and Wagner are extremely popular and highly valued. A vintage Griswold or Wagner cast iron pan in good condition can sell for hundreds of dollars, even over $1,000 for rare or large models. Besides cast iron, colorful Pyrex mixing bowls are also highly sought after. Unique patterns like gooseberry with goose figures, butterprint with farm motifs, or atomic starburst with a science fiction style all increase their value. A complete and well-preserved Pyrex bowl set, without chips or fading, can fetch a few $100s. Other items like bakeware from the 1940s to 1950s can also have surprising value. Pay attention to the overall condition, especially cracks, chips, or fading, as these are crucial factors determining the collectible value of these kitchen treasures. Trunks and luggage. Trunks and suitcases are becoming highly sought-after items, especially vintage trunks and luggage from high-end and luxury brands. They are symbols of a bygone travel style, of luxury and social status. An old trunk in good condition with shiny brass locks, well-preserved wood, and original details can yield surprising value. The value can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s depending on the size, condition, rarity, and provenance of the trunk. However, luggage from luxury brands like Louis Vuitton or Goyard are true stars in the collectibles market. A vintage Louis Vuitton trunk, produced in the early 20th century with its distinctive monogram pattern and exquisitely crafted leather and brass details, can be worth thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. For extremely rare or custom-made models, the value can be even higher. This is due to the exquisite craftsmanship, high-quality materials, and luxurious history of these brands, which have made their luggage symbols of timeless elegance and style. When inspecting, look for clear brand markings, the condition of the leather or canvas, metal details, and the originality of the components. Perfume bottles. Vintage vanity sets, including perfume bottles, powder boxes, mirrors, and other accessories, all designed to match and often made of silver or silver-plated. Perhaps it was the perfume Grandma wore to parties, with an elaborate design and sparkling stopper, or the gentle scent she used daily, housed in a simpler yet still elegant bottle. Among collectors, rare and limited edition perfume bottles from famous brands are highly sought after. Their value usually does not depend on whether there is still perfume inside, but rather on the design, material, rarity, and manufacturer. Some antique perfume bottles, especially from renowned fashion houses like Guerlain with unique bottle designs for each fragrance, Baccarat famous for exquisite crystal, Lalique with masterful etched glass art, or Chanel, a symbol of timeless elegance, can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, even when empty. Lalique perfume bottles, designed by the legendary glass artist René Lalique, often feature complex sculptural forms and intricate engravings, turning each bottle into an independent sculpture. A vintage Lalique bottle, especially rare or unusually colored models, can fetch thousands of dollars. Early Guerlain perfume bottles with distinct designs for each unique fragrance are also highly coveted by collectors. Mirrors. The large mirror in the living room, where Grandma often adjusted her hair or straightened her outfit before going out, to make sure she looked presentable. Or the small handheld mirror she always kept in her purse, used to check her lipstick or observe her expression while talking. Vintage and antique mirrors can sell for high prices, especially those with intricately crafted frames or a unique history. Old mirrors possess a beauty of nostalgia and elegance that few other furniture pieces can match. They are often viewed as architectural focal points, adding depth and light to a space. An Art Nouveau mirror with a softly sculpted floral frame, inspired by nature, or a Victorian mirror with an elaborate, heavy carved wooden frame, can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on the size, frame material, and detail of the patterns. Frame material also plays an important role. Mirrors with frames made of solid sterling silver, magnificent gilded bronze, or even exquisite mother-of-pearl inlay are all eyed by collectors. While natural wear on the frame, such as the patina of bronze or silver, can be acceptable and even enhance its antique beauty, major scratches, cracks, or obvious flaws on the glass surface can significantly reduce the mirror's value. However, if the glass has a bit of natural aging, such as tiny silver spots or slight haziness, due to the chemical reaction of the silver coating with air and time, that can increase the authenticity and charm of an antique item, not diminishing its value but rather adding to its story. Classic art styles and art pottery. Recently, classic and vintage art styles such as outsider art by untrained individuals with unique and spontaneous perspectives, and folk art, traditional art, often reflecting local culture, passed down through generations, are becoming increasingly popular. We often consider these works as mere decorative items, but in reality, they are windows into the artist's soul and the culture of an era. These works are often original, authentic, and tell unique stories about daily life, human beliefs, and traditions. A simple hand-painted piece by an unknown artist with a distinctive style, or a finely carved small wooden sculpture can be highly valued for its uniqueness and expressive quality. Additionally, art pottery from the late 19th and early 20th centuries, from renowned studios like Rookwood, famous for its vellum glazes, Gruby with its distinctive matte moss green glazes, or Weller with Art Nouveau and arts and crafts designs, is also very valuable. These pottery pieces often feature unique glazes, complex sculptural forms, and are symbols of the arts and crafts movement, a movement that emphasized a return to craftsmanship and natural beauty. Among all these mementos, which item impressed you the most? Please share your thoughts with us. Porcelain dolls. For many, porcelain dolls are cherished mementos full of sentimental value. But did you know that behind their graceful appearance, they also hide a surprising financial value in the collectibles world? The value of a porcelain doll can range from a few hundred to thousands of dollars, or even higher for rare ones or those from famous manufacturers. Antique porcelain dolls from Europe, especially those with exquisite hand-painted features and original clothing, are highly valued. Brands include Armand Marseille, famous for bisque doll heads, Simon and Halbig with vivid glass eyes, Kammer and Reinhardt with expressive character dolls, and Jumeau, known for French fashion dolls. What significantly increases value is if the doll still retains its original clothing. An exquisitely handcrafted outfit, matching the fashion style of the era the doll was produced, will significantly boost its value. Additionally, the condition of the doll is also very important. Are there cracks or chips on the porcelain head? Are the limbs damaged? And are the colors still vibrant? Dolls with sleep eyes, meaning the eyes close when the doll lies down, or other unique mechanical features are also highly prized. The history of the doll, such as if it belonged to a famous family or has a special story, further increases its collectible value. Handbags. Grandma's closet where old handbags were carefully stored, each with a story. Perhaps a small leather wallet faded over the years, or an elaborately embroidered clutch she carried to your wedding. For many, these are just outdated accessories, no longer fitting modern trends. But they were once true treasures due to the historical and stylistic value they offered. Vintage handbags from her collection can be both fashionable again and surprisingly valuable. We are witnessing a strong resurgence of fashion trends from previous decades, making these bags extremely appealing. A vintage Coach Dinky or Bonnie Cashin bag with high-quality leather and functional design can sell for a few $100s. Meanwhile, a vintage Gucci Jackie, with its distinctive shape and history associated with style icons, can fetch thousands of dollars. Even unbranded designs, if they feature good leather, exquisite stitching, high-quality metal details, and a unique style, can also become popular again and retain significant value. Beaded, meticulously hand-embroidered, or metal-framed handbags from the 1920s to 1950s can also command high prices, cherished by collectors for their sophistication and classic beauty. Quilts. The colorful quilt Grandma often draped over the sofa, or the thick blanket she personally embroidered for you when you were little, with each fabric piece a memory. Like the items above, they are handcrafted works of art, created with patience and love, every stitch telling a story. Handcrafted quilts, especially those with intricate patterns or deep family history, are considered priceless heirlooms far exceeding the value of a regular blanket. They truly look like textile art, an expression of culture and tradition. Some antique quilts, particularly those made before the 1950s, can be considered authentic folk art and hold significant value at auctions and among textile collectors. The value of a quilt can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s depending on the complexity of the pattern. A more complex pattern requires more effort and skill, the quality of the fabric used, the overall preserved condition, and the history of the quilt, if it has a unique story or clear provenance. Quilts from the American Civil War era, or those made by African American communities with unique patterns and deep cultural significance, can have particularly high value. Popular and high-value patterns include log cabin with fabric blocks stacked like logs, sampler with various small patterns, Star of Bethlehem with a complex star shape, and crazy quilt with irregular fabric pieces haphazardly patched together but still forming a harmonious whole. Vintage buttons and sewing kits. Grandma's old tin box filled with colorful threads, delicate thimbles, and countless buttons of all shapes, sizes, and materials. A complete and well-preserved kit, especially if the tin box has beautiful decorations or an old sewing brand logo, can sell for tens to hundreds of dollars. Perhaps she often rummaged through that box to find a suitable button for your torn shirt or to sew a new dress. For collectors and craft enthusiasts, that old sewing box can be a true treasure, containing small gems of history and art. Vintage buttons, especially those made from unique materials or with exquisite designs, are very popular among collectors and can yield surprising value. The value of a button can range from a few dollars for common ones to hundreds of dollars for extremely rare or unique ones, making them tiny but expensive collectible items. They are testaments to the craftsmanship, materials, and fashion styles of a bygone era. The most sought-after vintage buttons include those made from Bakelite and early plastic, popular in the 1920s to 1940s, known for its vibrant colors and warm feel to the touch. Additionally, exquisitely hand-carved buttons made from bone, wood, metal, or glass are also highly prized. Besides buttons, old tin sewing boxes filled with complete sewing tools like needles, small embroidery scissors, thimbles, and vintage spools of thread also have their own collectible value. Militaria. A complete military uniform of a high-ranking officer with full insignia and in good condition, or a rare medal awarded for a special heroic act, can fetch thousands of dollars. These mementos were often brought back by your grandfather from wartime. They are often regarded as priceless legacies, helping us understand past events. Perhaps an old helmet with battle scars, a faded badge that has weathered many storms, or a torn flag that still retains its sanctity. You see, these items are living historical witnesses, carrying stories of courage, sacrifice, and tragic national moments. Each item contains a piece of the soldier's soul and a part of the war's memory. Militaria can provide a significant source of income, as there are always passionate collectors seeking rare and unique items, not only for their material value but also for the historical and emotional value they carry. The value of military items varies greatly depending on their age, rarity, preserved condition, and deep historical significance. Helmets, uniforms, medals, decorations, or even letters and diaries of soldiers from major wars like World War I, World War II, are highly valued for their historical and personal nature. Collectors often check share and subscribe buttons for the Back to Yesterday channel, so you don't miss our next nostalgic journeys. Thank you for watching.